Welcome you all. In this video, we are going to discuss about three important topics. Private address, and we are going to compare with the private address with the public address. And the second one is network address translation. Simply it is called the NAT. And the third one is superlative. Let us see one by one. So what is the difference between the public and the private address in the version IP address 4? Suppose we are direct or indirect connectivity to the internet is desired. There are two types of address we are using. One is a public address, another one is private address. Public addresses are normally assigned by network interface card. Simply, it is called the NIC. So NIC is nothing. It is a circuit code or card. It is installed in the computer. So with this NIC card, we can connect with the we can connect the network. Public addresses are the IP that can be accessed by everyone. Every user has the right to access this IP. For example, yahoo.com, google.com. These are some example for public address. Private address, other hand, used for numbering the computers in the private network. For suppose the private network, home, school, colleges, university. So in that case, we are using private IP address. These addresses are the user connected with these addresses can be able to communicate with each other. Private IP addresses cannot be accessed by everyone. Only the user within the organization can be able to access this private IP address. So the example for private IP addresses used are, for example, our university. So the users within the SRM university can be able to access the IP within this university. The users from the outside of the university can't be able to access this address. So ranges of private IP address. There are 4 blocks are assigned as private addresses. And the table given below that gives the summary of the private addresses normally used. The second topic is about network address translation, NAT. So NAT is provide the mapping between the public address and the private address. And also it will support the virtual private networks. So normally NAT allows a set of private addresses for internal communication and a set of internet addresses for the communication outside the organization. So in this scenario, the router acts as a NAT. The router is available. The left side of the portion showing number of private IP address, and the right side is the global world. Here, the router acting as a network address translation, that is mapping the private IP address with this public IP address. So another one scenario. So in this scenario, here and the number of computers within the private networks are connected with the router, and also it is connected with the internet service provider. So between the internet service provider provided with the public IP address and the organization and the computers within the organizations are configured with the private IP address. Suppose the computer send the information to the outside the world. Here, the private IP address, the address that is called the private IP address used with the computers, when it is connected with the router. The router convert this private IP address into public IP address. Similarly, the router keeps a track. Suppose any response come back from somewhere on the internet, the router do the translation in the reverse manner. So it replaces the internet IP address with the local IP address. So not only in the router is doing NAT is doing a private to public address translation. It is also doing public to public address translation as well as a private to private address translation. So the network address translation has some advantages as well as disadvantages also. So let us see what are the advantages. Some of the advantages are it uses a single IP address among many devices in the network, and also it uses a dynamic IP address for home user for sharing. Meanwhile, it has some disadvantages also. In this case, in the machine, suppose any device in the internet can't be able to initiate the communication to local machine. Okay? So they can only respond to the communication initiated by the local communication. So this is the main drawback of this network address translation scheme. And the third topic is about supernetting. So here, first of all, we have to compare with what is subnetting with the supernetting. So what is subnetting? Subnetting, what we are doing, we are dividing a large address block into smaller subgroups. Suppose any organization granted with a large block suppose it is a class A, class B. So it can divide the addresses into several contiguous groups and each and assign the IP address to group of smaller network. That is called a subnet. So it uses a flexible net mask in that case. On the other hand, suppose it is supernetting, it is somewhat different from the subnetting. In supernetting, organization can commit several class E blocks to create a large range of addresses. Otherwise, we can say several networks are combined to create a super network. Otherwise, it is called a supernet. For example, any organization that needs 1,000 addresses, in that case, it can be granted 4 contiguous class C blocks. Thank you all for watching.